Since they had been aware of their presence in the Kaurava system, the Eldar had watched their debased kin with disdain and some fear. At last, the time came when the schism that had long ago divided the Dark and Craftward Eldar resulted in direct conflict. Perhaps the Archon Taril's kind had grown weak or complacent in the safety of their moonbase. Whatever the cause, they were unprepared for the force of the assault which Farseer Karis led against them. With the cold inevitability of fate, the Eldar swept the Blackheart Cabal forces from the surface of the moon, along with all evidence of their depraved deeds. Karis issued specific orders, however, to allow the small number of fleeing Dark Eldar to escape. It was her full intent that news should reach the Dark Eldar home city of Komorah of her victory and their defeat. Farseer Karis saw with clear sight that her forces must strike the Tau moonbase of Nanya Noi soon, or not at all. When she arrived at the Kauravan moon, she realized how close this window had been to shutting. Had the Tau completed their advanced fortifications, their mighty base would have been nearly invincible. The Eldar must strike, and swiftly. Karis trusted no other force to keep vigil over the ancient and deathless Necrons, and be watching still a millennium hence. The dauntless Farseer had weighed the consequences of her actions carefully, and many times since she had first foreseen the coming of the Kaurava conflict, she knew that the Tau, though a young and foolish race, showed greater promise than the haughty Imperium, the mad legions of Chaos, or the dogged Orcs. The exarchs of Craftworld Ulthwé had agreed that although brazenly striking the Tau might sever any non-hostile relations for some centuries, the Tau could not yet be trusted in any system so susceptible to Necron awakenings. Nevertheless, the bodies of Aun Roir and Commander Or-Eska were returned to the Tau, along with all prisoners of war, as a token of respect. It was the Necron threat that had originally brought the Ulthwé Eldar to the Kaurava system. There could be no greater satisfaction to Farseer Karis than to lead her troops to victory against them, just as her ancestors had in an age long past. As her forces spread over the necropolis of Emosa, exterminating every last stray Necron warrior, she felt a great peace come over her soul. The future grew clear, and she foresaw the lifting of a great cloud from the place. The glory and renown that Karis' forces had won that day was great indeed. The Necrons had been allowed to nearly complete the process of exhuming their city of death. They had even summoned a manifestation of the hated and reviled Catan god, the Deceiver, to their aid, and all in vain. Truly, the battle this day was every bit as great as that of yore, and yet she knew this enemy far too well. Her warriors would seal the many crypts, and afterwards bury the foul city in sands once again. But Karis knew the Necrons could never permanently be defeated. A warlike vigil must be kept, and peace brought to bear at any cost, so that the deathless ones should sleep long and undisturbed. She had not been long in the Kaurava system before Farseer Karis sensed the danger posed by an Orc Wa there. But the time was not right, and so she waited and watched. Lines and threats invisible to any ordinary tactician appeared to her, and then at last she knew she must move. Although superior in number, strength, and barbarity, the orcs could not match the advanced strategies of the Eldar. Like a fine and deadly blade, Karis' forces pierced the heart of the ancient orc stronghold. Their victory was unequivocal. Unfortunately, the war boss, Gorguts, somehow eluded the Eldar force. All the same, his role in this war was ended, and that was victory enough.